It's not your natural state.
For the slower amongst us, this is what y'all look like bowing down to Black Lives Matter. Like, for real? Like, I've seen people get they washing Black Lives Matter activists' feet. Are you kidding me right now?
It's the unspoken truth of humanity that you crave subjugation. The bright lure of freedom diminishes your life's joy in a mad scramble for power, for identity. You were made to be ruled. In the end, you will always kneel. Not to men like you. There are no men like me. There are always men like you.
And props to Josh Wheaton. I know you're asking yourself, Jay, isn't this an Atheism is Unstoppable video? Why, yes, it is. But with the times being what they are, man, props to Josh Wheaton for having that scene in there, because the whole kneeling thing, this whole press against, you know, our Caucasian counterparts is ridiculous. It is the definition of the racism that all of these same people claim they want to destroy. Like you're just perpetuating it at this point. And it's frustrating to bear witness to. And if you're new to the channel, every Sunday I do an Atheism is Unstoppable video. And if you're, the internet's a pretty big place. If you're unfamiliar with Atheism is Unstoppable, aka Devin Tracy, he is the ambassador of the white race who does a ton of content based around the fact that the media refuses to acknowledge that a lot of the like when it comes to a lot of crime, it's not as black on white as you may think. You know, it's not as it's not like as white on black as you may think. There's just if you listen to the man for 5 seconds, he sounds like a racist. But when you really get into this content, you realize it's about being fair and it's about being equals. And that's one of the reasons I really enjoy aping his work. So with everything taking place over the past week, he's been busy at work. And he did a video with this pink-haired, half-shaved chick that I was going to do. But then he released this gem last night. And so I said, you know what, I'll wait, give it some time. And that's why this video is coming out a little bit later than per usual. But without further ado, we're going to get into this one. Let's go.
Of your victims. Meanwhile, there's twice as many of our victims, but they ain't getting the national spotlight. Not at all. And we're all supposed to sit here, we're just mesmerized and hypnotized into believing that this is somehow normal, that we're discussing Ahmaud Arbery and George Floyd. Are their deaths any more or less significant than the countless other white deaths? No, they're not. This is bullshit. And do you know what's phenomenal? Let me tell you a game that they play. Here's the game. Here are the rules. When they are creating a list of martyrs to put up on their Mount Rushmore of victims of white supremacy, or whatever the fuck they're trying to frame it as, anything goes. Anything goes. So, in the same breath, you'll hear someone talk about Tamir Rice, and then you'll hear them talk about Trayvon Martin. And it's like, wait a minute, Tamir Rice was just an accident, and it was a kid pulling a gun. It's not much to see there. It's happened to white people countless times. In fact, more times.
A toy gun. Let's be clear, it was a toy gun. And yeah, it does happen when, officers feel as if they're threatened. And it happens to white folks. It happens to white folks a lot.
That year, white people were killed with toy guns. But Devin, he was a child, right? Our children die too. White lives matter. Now, Trayvon Martin had a scuffle with a citizen. Oh, by the way, he wasn't white. But don't worry about that. Just chuck him on the pile. So Trayvon Martin punches and attacks Zimmerman. Zimmerman defends his life with a gun, and people are upset. They'll include that then with Philando Castile, a cop shooting a bleep who was reaching for a gun. And then they'll go to Ahmaud Arbery. Now, again, a non-cop situation, but the race is lined up the way they like them. And we're supposed to just lump that together, organic?
Yeah, because it's a lot of cognitive dissonance and just low information that plague a lot of these communities off top. And then there's the disinformation that's pumped through via Antifa and BLM, which are the same thing, whether you want to admit it or not. They are the exact same thing. It's like Coke and Sprite. They're coming out of the same bottling plant, fam. Let's keep going.
With George Floyd? So what are we talking about here? What is the common thread? Because it's not just cops versus bleeps. And by the way, why is the conversation not cops killed by bleeps? 40% of the time a cop is killed, it's from a bleep. They represent 13% of the country. You guys want to talk about that? You think NBC is going to run with that? No, they're not going to run with it. To the tune of, cops have been killed during this riot. Multiple cops. Some in critical condition, some just dead. And they're not talking about that. So
shout out to David Dorn while we at it. I think his funeral is going to be coming up, but they found the guy. They found the gentleman that put a bullet in David Dorn, and hopefully he goes down for a real long time. And yeah, of course, bleep.
Apparently, the issue here is not murder. It's not death. And do you know why? Do you know why you have to gerrymander this conversation and have a completely inconsistent set of rules? It's because the math doesn't work for you. You can't just say we're against murder and Black Lives Matter, because it's absolutely obvious what the reply needs to be to that. You people murder the most. What are you bitching about?
Yeah, well, that's the crazy part, because I ain't kill nobody that didn't deserve it. So when it comes to murder, when it comes to actions, right, it's so dangerous and really a bad idea to group everybody in with everybody else's actions. Because I, for one, though I would be considered a black man, I'm not going to sit there and pretend as if, oh yeah, I own what it is Malik did. I own what it is that one guy that threw the kid off of the balcony or the elevators at the Mall of America. It's infuriating and it's disgusting, particularly coming at it from that child's perspective. You know how terrifying that must have been? Really. So when we sit here and group each other together, we lose humanity, because there are people who just happen to share a skin tone with us that chip away at it. And this comes from both sides, Mr. Ambassador.
Give me a break. We're going to get out and protest when a white kills a black and then ignore every time a black kills everyone, which happens way more? I mean, does that not make everyone sick to their stomach to think that that is the rule? How obvious is this? Wake up. And if it's just cop killings, if you want to erase all murder, which they don't, they cherry pick this all the time, cops kill whites more than blacks. How is that lost on people? How is it an epidemic for blacks being murdered by cops when cops kill whites more? And do you know where that argument dies? It dies in the very next sentence. Because the pushback to that will be, wait a minute, even though I will grant you that whites are killed more by cops, twice as many, I mean, I never bring it up, and I don't care about a single one of those people. Not a single one do I care about. But because you brought it up, let me address it. There are more whites in the country than blacks. And so what I'm saying is I care about the disproportionate amount of black people killed by white cops. Oh, by the way, that's part of the rules. No one's protesting a black cop killing a black guy, which is further out.
See, here's the thing. I cannot stand the fractions that's going on here when they're like, oh, well, it's disproportionate. It's disproportionate because of the environments in which many, black people find themselves living in, which are normally urban, which are normally the same spaces that are the ones that are being lit on fire right now. Or, well, actually, it's simmering down. It's definitely simmering down at this point. And that's why I did the Maurice Gordon video yesterday, because I don't want it to get inflamed any further. This is something that needs to die out. We cannot sit here and turn and burn our communities to the ground at the behest of people who aren't even from there, i.e. the Antifa types and whatnot, what have you. But the crazy part is that the BLMs have been, just quietly sitting there for the past 4 years, waiting for this opportunity, remaining to get their bread from their benevolent benefactors.
That this is clearly racism against white people. That's what it is, people. And you and I, well, me right now, here's what I'm doing. I'm in the process of criticizing black people. I am not impressed that you're black. Now, maybe...
What? Well, sir. Yeah, it's really nothing because it's just a skin color, right? It's just a meat suit for the most part.
It takes someone growing up with black people to feel this way. You have to be in their proximity. They're not celestial magical beasts. They're just...
You know what? No, I completely disagree with that, because, I am a rather celestial magical beast. beast. I actually like that description. By all means, yeah, I'm a beast, bro. I'm a celestial magical beast. Oh my goodness, that's funny.
And I'm not impressed. You're not special, you're not victims, you're not oppressed, and I and my people are not an excuse for your ongoing failures. Your behavior is shameful, and you're either too stupid or immoral to realize it. But
So the thing that that always just like bugs me out is how he completely misses the mark when it comes to those who, like I said, the benevolent benefactors that, put money behind these types of movements, because I can damn near guarantee you that there's more of them on your side of the aisle, Mr. Ambassador. You need to have a little conference call with your folks, because they're the ones really putting a lot of these batteries in the back, and they've been doing it since the 60s, and since they realized, yeah, we can corner off these little areas, funnel in all of the low wage workers that we want to get into the country, as well as put these particularly the descendants in a compromising position of having to either stick around and end up having a miserable life, or running as just the same, taking part in that white flight that everyone else did.
The reason these arguments go nowhere is because we get to the elephant in the room, and that is the reason more blacks are killed disproportionately by cops is because they engage with cops more and they resist arrest more, which is evidenced everywhere. And the reason they engage with the cops more is because they commit more crime. There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
And we come from environments, and let's not forget the media type influence that actually encourage the committing of crimes, because we got to keep these police budgets up, regardless, right? We got to keep the poverty up. So thusly, by all means, go on out there. There's no gun manufacturers in the hood. There really aren't. So thusly, these things come from elsewhere. The drugs, there's no poppy fields in the hood. They come from elsewhere. These things were planted here in the jobs. The decent employment was taken away, replaced with a gig economy, and they're like, oh no, there's no way people they'll be fine. We'll just give them a government program. That's what's taking place, bro. Okay, and it's all of us. Black, white, green, blue, purple, it's all of us.
Their behavior is the reason. It's them. How obvious could this be? And that will basically stop anyone who is uncomfortable about race dead in their tracks. Wait, you're telling me I'm
No, not over here, buddy. Not over here at all.
To criticize blacks for the crimes they commit? Or even be aware of the numbers and how lopsided they are? I don't think so, Devin. There you have it, folks. It was standing in front of you the whole time. But guess what? What has the internet taught us? It's taught us that not everyone deserves a microphone. Life was better.
I will 150% agree with that. Some people, like the whole defund the police thing, yeah, that is an argument too stupid for words. If it was not for the internet, that argument would not be an argument.
When we didn't hear from you, you're either maniacally stupid, totally untalented, or just obnoxious. But guess what? You have a YouTube channel, or you have a Twitter, and now we get to hear from you and all your stupid thoughts. And we live in the age where platform is king. If you have a platform, anyone can get popular. Kim Kardashian, Jake Paul, or just random people like pop stars, actors.
I'm gonna disagree with an extent, because everyone who you're mentioning is basically famous for superfluous reasons. It's very superficial, it's very artificial, and that's a big part of the psychological grip that the media and television has played on the American public for a very long time. So it's I'll put it to you like this: I will never grow to the size of Janelle. What's that one girl, the Janelle Elena chick with the snake in her van and stuff like that? Because YouTube or Twitter or anything, or any of these other social media platforms, they can boost whoever they so desire. Whoever, you know, like, okay, yeah, they doing all right. Let's give them a little push. Let's put them on trending pages and everything else like that. So to pretend as if this isn't, you know, this isn't calculated and manipulated. Come on, DT.
Celebrities, comedians. These people are now leaders. They call them influencers. Do you think their influence is good? We're going to listen to Kim Kardashian's take on anything? Why? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because if you have a huge audience, and we're talking about multiple millions here, you're in control. If you control the means of, not production, the means of communication, you run the show. The Nazis knew this. The Catholic Church knew this. I mean, this is how you control people. People are easily controlled. Has that been established? They are totally persuadable.
Well, in this video it has. That's why I started off with the whole Loki bit.
I mean, if anything, that one video of the white girl getting down on her knees because a black dude told her to, I mean, shit. Is it that easy? I'll just walk up to the next girl on the street and say, suck my dick. And just wave my arm like I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Literally, everyone had that thought, right? Like, yo, like, word, is just this easy? I bet. Like, you want to, let me see the back of your throat if you really care about all these black lives. Care about black lives going in the back of your throat.
Is not the blowjob you're looking for. And look, I am talking to you online. You don't have to believe me. I could give a shit. I'm right. But you do the thinking on your own. You assess what I'm saying. You tell me if I'm right or wrong. If you tell me I'm wrong, I'll ban you. Kidding. But you are wrong. I'm definitely right. But do the homework yourself. 2 + 2 is 4, not because I told you. It's because the Korean kid next to me has it as his answer. So we know it's right. So we're seeing the net result of stupid people who are on the west side of the bell curve, being influenced, being inflamed, and acting out irrationally. Now you'd think that there was an adult in the room, or maybe a multitude of adults, people that would rein this in and say, wait a minute, what's right is right. You don't have a case here. You guys are hysterical. You're psychologically malfunctioning. You're having a panic attack. You're wasting our national treasure and all of our time, and people are dying because you need therapy. You know, I thought 2020 might be a referendum on Trump's first term, or on maybe the environment, or Corona, something like that. No, it's a referendum on slavery.
No, it's not. No, it's not, Devin. It's not a referendum on slavery. You'll see. On November 3rd, you'll see. You gave the American people no other option but to re-elect Trump. I'm sorry. And it's so much of not an option that Devin, who has infamous TDS, all right? Even he defends President Trump in this. And that is why, like, I've been calling it for years now, but it is what it is.
We're still talking about fucking slavery. What is the excuse for that? That's a you problem. It's over. You don't see me wrestling with the potato famine. And so I rarely go to mainstream stuff, but I did. And I'm listening to guys like late night talk show hosts who, by the way, ever since Jon Stewart slipped into the gap, the hole left by mainstream news, and said,
hey, yo, shout out to Jon Stewart, man. Legend. Legendarily hilarious when I'll have him.
wait a minute, the news is bullshit. They follow a formula, they're fake as fuck, they don't give you an objective look at a story, and their editorial choices are highly suspect. They just don't have any honor, and they're in it for profit. They're clickbait as hell. So Jon Stewart comes in, and he's a bright guy, but he has a point of view, he's biased, and so he bases a comedy show on politics, his point of view. That's not the news, but that was the beginning of this transfer where we're not even watching the news. There is no news. News is dead. It got drowned out by the quadrillion voices that the internet created. And if you have a comedian that's gonna make you laugh, it's more entertaining, you know, they're not gonna cut away and tell you about local weather, and they don't speak in some bizarro news talk, and they don't speak like they're these weird fake androids. They speak like human beings. So it sounds real. If, Jon Stewart sounded real, Howard Stern sounds real. But now, where do people get their news? Seth Meyers? Stephen Colbert? Trevor Noah? It's literally
Trash, trash, trash. Like, seriously, brought and paid for trash. Because after Jon Stewart, who was genuine, after somebody does something to great success, and they're genuine about it, there will be tons of people looking to imitate and replicate that same success. It's no different than, really like Marvel versus DC, or any other, capitalism. for the most part, because it's about being competitive. So thusly, the executives are like, well, that worked for Jon Stewart or Dave Chappelle with Key and Peele and Carlos Mencia. They were like, oh, well, that was successful. Let's try this again, but with somebody who's willing to push the messages and narratives that we want them to push. And that's really where Trevor Noah in particular comes in here.
Really on the Comedy Channel, but I'm going to listen to these people tell me what I should think about race riots? They're not even calling them riots. What? You don't believe me? Watch. We're going to go over this. And to me, it is stunning and also ultimately frustrating that they are so obviously wrong, and yet what does it matter? They are the lion of the jungle, and I'm the mouse. They have the numbers.
Then I am the ant.
They have the platform. Who cares what's true? True? What does that mean? How much money does being true give you? Nothing. Hey, I'm going to start an OnlyFans account, and I'm just going to tell you true things. I'm going to give you facts, and it's just going to be a whole orgy of truth. You know how many followers I'd have? None. They're like, that other girl has huge tits. Yeah, but she's not.
Damn! Oh my goodness, strokes all day.
True, she doesn't speak the truth. Well, it's true that her tits are big, so I'm over there. All right, so let's watch some of these clips. I've assembled a few, and walk with me on this journey, because it is absolutely frustrating. And I sympathize with the people out there, because I'm not in American society right now. I can only imagine getting peppered with this shit every day in real life and online.
It is awful. It really is.
Oh my God, you guys must be on one right now. You're in the thick of it, so thoughts and prayers to you.
Welcome to Late Night. Today the president reeled off an unhinged rant in a call with governors demanding that they dominate protesters with mass arrests. After days of violent police escalation and unrest over the murder of George Floyd, for more on this, it's time for a closer look.
Did you see that framing? That was a whirlwind of bullshit. He just referred to this as protests. Now, if that is not insulting to your intelligence, that after everything we've seen, they're going to call this protests, that's the umbrella term for what we're witnessing, protests. And then he shifts your focus to police are escalating violence. Huh? Police are the response to the initial problem, which is the citizens being violent. By the way, they're black, so notice, he doesn't racialize this, and he...
Not all of them are black, Devin.
Ignores the fact that they are the problem. The rioters are the problem. The police are the solution. So if you don't think that Seth Meyers has a perspective and an agenda, that is absolutely crazy. But hey, he's in a suit and he's got a huge platform. He's telling you what's what. Are we to believe this? Do any of you believe what he just said? Hey everyone, Trump's a fucking asshole, and the protesters were innocently out there doing nothing, and the fucking police came by and they escalated shit. They're the problem. Trump bad, police bad. Don't mention black people beating people up, committing hate crimes, burning down stores, stealing a bunch of shit, rioting. Don't mention that. But
Don't mention the white people that were hand in hand with them. Some of them even handing them bricks. Come on, Devin.
George Floyd, poor guy, innocent, poor George. Black people are so innocent, and fuck whites, and fuck Trump, and fuck cops. Where have we heard that before? It's almost like it's lifted off my regressive agenda. Those are exact points off my agenda.
President Trump has been quietly hunkered down in the White House, occasionally threatening wild fantasies of violence against protesters and belching out random all-caps tweets like fake news and Law and Order.
Clearly, Trump is reacting to the criminals, not the protesters. He made that...
Okay, guys. Okay. Soak it in. That's right. Soak it in. He just offended Trump. Oh my goodness. Trump has already won 2020. He really has. Cause every time Devin has severe TDS. So for him to be like, well, he's saying that this is BS. Like, done. Now I am this Trump's won. It's over. Game over, man. Game over. The ambassador has spoken. Now hasn't he?
Implicit in his speech, but what kind of bad faith, how ungracious of an interpretation. I mean, even in the tweet he says, once you start looting, we start shooting. Do you think protesters are looters? Seth Meyers just passed that off like you weren't going to understand that he's lying to you. And why are we starting with Trump? I mean, again, he makes money off that, so it's just a fuck Trump thing. He'll just say fuck Trump. So in the midst of day after day of race riots in the streets, totally unjustified. A sea of criminal activity from black people for no reason.
Look, like, that's the thing, Devin. You're being disingenuous, because it wasn't just black people out there wilding like that. I'm sorry, but it wasn't. There were tons of agitators from all sides, from all spectrums. But it's like he's just recognizing the the underhandedness that's come along with a lot of the Trump coverage. That's been the case since the man decided he was going to run. I don't like defending Trump. You know, I really don't. But at the same time, I refuse to be unfair. All right, I've like, since all of this began, and you can go back to my other channel, Jay the Gentleman. I said, look, I'm gonna be respectful, and I feel like it's a time to be fair. Like, you know, the man's getting in there, let's see what happens and everything else like that. And everybody's like, nope, TDS just went buck wow throughout the nation. So it's really good to see Devin like really start to see that crack start to break when it comes to his own bias. But stop saying it was just all black people out there wilding like that, because it wasn't just all black people. The same way that Joe Rogan was like, oh, well, it was just some white kids. No, Joe Rogan, it wasn't just some white kids. No, Devin Tracy, it wasn't just some black kids. We were all in it together. Yay!
Absolutely despicable behavior yet again from this community. And he comes out going, what's up with Trump tweeting about how he wants to kill protesters? It's a flat out lie.
Even just showing up to a protest in riot gear with military equipment is a form of escalation.
After, like, because they didn't really start pulling that out until, like, you know what I'm saying, day 2, day 3. Like after day 1, like in the middle of day 1, it should have, hey, call up the National Guard. Like while Minnesota was on fire, hey, call up the National Guard day 1. But no. What Trump, one of the things that Trump does, I think, really well is try to delegate to the governors and let the states handle their own problems. But, you know, everybody's looking at him like, oh yeah, he's supposed to have the answers for everything. And like, no, like the federal government's my issue, and there's a reason why we are a republic. You can't come to the federal government every time you have a problem. Deal with it yourself. That's why he was saying get tough with them. Because guess what? They have jobs to do. It's one of the most amazing things throughout all of this has been watching the government protest the government. Like, dude, you have a job. Like this is your job. Why are you protesting yourself? Change the policies. But no. They're all sitting there talking about, well, we're going to put all these policies in place that really, that focus on the police training as opposed to the laws that the police enforce. That's where you really lose me, guys.
So, if the cops show up wearing riot gear to protect themselves, shields, clubs, etc., body armor, that's a form of escalation? Oh my God. Try to imagine stripping the agency away from rioters like that. Hey, you know what? On my way to get breakfast today, there are Brazilian cops stationed at the corners of the main streets. They're in uniforms, they have guns, and they have police cars up on the sidewalk with their lights on. Was that a display of force? Should I have felt escalated? Should I have rioted against seeing Brazilian cops on the street? They're there to protect law and order during a global pandemic. This is what they're doing. They're showing themselves. They're presenting themselves in the community. Would you excuse anyone for throwing a Molotov cocktail or punching someone or breaking shit because you saw a cop? How ridiculous of a point was that from Seth Meyers?
It goes along with the infantilization of, you know, the quote unquote black community, where, you know, it's like, oh, well, no matter what they do, it's somehow the person who was actually in the right that was that's wrong. And deal is that you need to really marinate these communities in that mindset. That's why we have the welfare state that we do.
The cops show up to deal with the riot? What the fuck, cops? You basically started the riot. What? How could you be this lost? So what is the writing room like with Seth Meyers? Who are the people in that room? What religion are the people in that room? Who are the people?
I don't know, probably all the same people that was that's in Lily Singh's writing room. I'm joking.
In that room voting for? Should we trust them? I don't trust them. Do you?
Even elected officials were not immune from police violence, as a New York State Assemblywoman, Diana Richardson, explained after getting pepper sprayed at a protest in Brooklyn.
The NYPD is being excessively aggressive with this crowd here, and it is inappropriate.
I mean, this is just absolutely nauseating, is it not? So Seth Meyers, he does this whole segment. He doesn't mention the rioting. he doesn't mention the killings. The killings he doesn't mention. Or the arson, or any of the other beatings, the vicious beatings we've seen. If this was a regular news cycle and any of those beatings went viral, they would be national news. Just an outrageous violation by one group of people against one individual. Of course.
So I think we've gone through more than enough here, because Devin is just like, oh yeah, it's all on the blind. No, my guy, it really isn't, and that's another blind spot that you got. But I'm also going to acknowledge the fact that he addressed his other blind spot when it comes to the TDS, and it seems as if he may actually be folding around on that. This has been actually a rather long video. Sorry, guys, sorry about that. But hey, gotta get my watch time regardless, right? So with that being said, we're gonna bring this one to an end. All the internet stuff. If you liked it, toss it a like, dislike, go ahead, do that too. Nobody's scared of you. Sub if you enjoy my fantastic voice and want to get videos like this every single day. Share it, because sharing is caring. And YouTube and Bitchute like aren't the biggest fans of your boy over here for very obvious reasons. Bang the bell for notifications and speak. Let me know, what do you guys think in the comments? I would get to the Trevor Noah stuff, but I already did a video on Trevor Noah. Just basically, he's terrible. He's awful, and I will link to that video in the description, as well as I'm going to link to the channel Charlie's movie clips that I got the Avengers clip from. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, can you really, like, legitimately, sorry, because I always have a question for my comments. Can you legitimately look at everything that took place and just be like, oh well, it's only one group that did that did all the rioting, that did all the looting? No, you cannot. It's impossible. All right. White folks went for the Vans. Black folks went for the Nikes. All right. But you may feel differently, and that's what I have a comment section for. Until the next one.